Hey folks! Salut! Welcome back to the More Than Paris in France YouTube channel with your host Rochelle. That's me. Tonight I'm so excited to be filming videos again. I'm still kind of working out how this YouTube thing works, but I would say that I am stoked that there are 13 followers! This makes me so happy. It's ridiculous, but it's true. It makes me happy. Just to know that they're like random internet people who want to see more about what I'm saying about living in France and moving to France, being an assistant in France, and soon being a university student, a master's student in France. But today, the focus of this video is to talk about the assistantship salary. So in France, as you can check out in a video that I'll post up here, there is the opportunity for people from, I think it's like 54 different countries to come to France for a period of 7 months to teach English to people, to like primary and secondary level school students. And what I'm talking about today is the salary that you get when you're an assistant enough? So after taxes and everything's taken out, the salary is about 780 euros per month. For the first month, you don't get like your full salary at the end, you get an advance and you get around like 65% of your salary. So you get around like 600 and something euros for the first month. So if you got around like 60% of your salary in at the end of October, for November you get your full November salary, and then you get the 40% of your leftover from your October salary. And then from December, actually in December you get paid a little bit early, so you get paid around like the 21st or something instead of actually towards the end of the month. And then January, February, March, April, May, not May, you get like a regular, your full salary at the right time and all that. So is this salary enough? So as someone who has been an assistant twice before, I was an assistant in the Academy of Strasbourg as well as at Oriental. From that experience, I think I've had the necessary experience to give a good response to this question: is the assistant salary enough? Right. So my response to that is as French as it gets. 3, 2, 1. Ben, ça dépend. Ça dépend. And what does it depend on? It depends on these 4 things that I'm going to tell you right now. 4. Okay. So the first thing is, what academy are you in? What academy did you apply? And this is something I'm putting it first to get out of the way, because you may have applied for this academy and ended up there. First time I applied for Strasbourg and I got Strasbourg. Second time I applied for Besançon and I end up in Oriental. So you don't have that much control over where you really do end up, but I would say some academies are more expensive than other academies. For some academies, there is a like reflection in the increased expense of living in that academy, and that reflection is in the pay, so you end up getting more. Some of these are like the Martinique, Guadeloupe, I think Guyana as well, where you get more. You get like 1,200 euros per month. This, note well, does not include Paris. So if you end up in like Paris or Nice or Strasbourg, like if you choose one of these, or Créteil, one of these like more expensive academies, know that you are not going to get additional money just because it's more expensive. You're going to get the same thing that somebody who's living in Poitiers or in Oriental is getting, the same 780 euros. So we have that out of the way now. Let's move on to thing number 2. Factor number 2. So the second factor is your lifestyle. If you are somebody who is accustomed to going out for drinks on the weekend, for sundowners, for lunch with friends, and coffee every morning, every single morning, even though you can make it at home, and you travel, well, I'm just going to say it's going to be a huge adjustment, a huge adjustment for you, moving from that sort of lifestyle to living on 780 euros in France, if that's all the money you have, which leads us straight away into point number 3. Depending on the amount of savings you have, the 780 euros can either be all you have to depend on, or it can just be something to help you get by. So I'm gonna give an example of myself. When I first moved to France as an assistant, when I went to Strasbourg, I had about $1,000 in savings, and that money did not last me like beyond November. Like maybe halfway through November, it was all done, and that was fine because, as I explained earlier, you kind of need to like depend on whatever money you come with for October, and then you start getting paid at the end of October. And because of this, if you come with a ton of money in savings, then you can make use of the first vacation. And this is like hoping that it's no longer a thing within like next year, the next 2 years, and for all the future that this video is going to be useful for. Typically there's that vacation 2 weeks into the assistantship, and if you have savings, if you have a good amount of savings, you can make use of this vacation. You can visit places. And just kind of tying in point number 2 to point number 3, it is going to be very hard for you to adjust to like a major shift in lifestyles if you don't have like a lot of interest in properly planning your money, or if you, and I do not advocate for this, but I know that like it's really helped some assistants in the past. They had to deal with it otherwise. Like some assistants used credit cards to kind of bankroll that first month and a half when they didn't have that much money. I don't advise it because it just makes the rest of your time sucky. But for some people, it is really hard to make that great shift from like maybe living at home and like doing things funded by your parents to kind of relying just on the money that you have, the 780 euros. And the very last thing that I'm going to talk about, which is number 4, this is where you live. So not the academy, not like where you live in France, but actually where you live. Are you going to live for free, like I did once, at the bâtiment fonctionnaire, at the like building for staff and auxiliary staff at the school? I did that with 2 other assistants when I was in Oleonto, and we lived for free. Didn't have to touch a cent of our 780 euros to pay for rent. However, we did still have to pay insurance for the place, but it was like 14 euros divided by 3, so it was next to nothing. It was like really, really affordable. Another option is that you may live in an internat or in university student housing or university and young people housing. And on both of those things, as well as on the next thing I'm going to mention, if you live, for example, in an apartment, you can get back some of the money that you pay each month through a system called TAPIF, which it's like a housing welfare grant, which gives you back a certain percentage of your rent, of what you paid. And so, for example, I had a friend who had an apartment. He rented an apartment. It was about 400 euros per month. And of course, in the beginning, it was like really, really difficult. He just had about like 380 euros left over at the end of paying his rent and his like, like heating or electricity, whatever it was he had to pay. But then later on in the stay, he started getting back money from CAF, which made life towards the end of the stay like a lot more pleasant and enjoyable, because now not all of your salary is going into rent. So you have several options, and it's because of all these different varying situations that I say ça dépend. We can't speak nobody can speak for everyone, and say that yeah, 780 euros is totally enough to live on each month, because it depends on how you spend. I would advise though, look at your spending right now. Look at the spending that you do on just like day-to-day comforts that make your life a little bit easier. Are you somebody who like walks instead of taking the metro? Are you somebody who drives, somebody who takes a car? Or are you somebody who like needs that like social, which we aren't getting that much of right now, that like social thing, to just like go in a coffee shop and sit down and have your coffee? Do you just make all of your coffee home? I would say though, something that is going to save you a lot to make this money go the extra mile is just to write down and to become acquainted with your spending. Mostly people who are doing this program are between like 21 to 30 or 35. So we're still pretty young and we can like start making good money habits going into the future. So use this as an opportunity to, look at your spending and look at your budgeting if you do become an assistant and move to France for 780 euros a month. Make the most of it and learn to stay within a set budget. It's more than likely you're going to make a lot more than that for the rest of your life. So go for it. I hope that this video was super helpful for you. I hope it helped you understand what are the different factors which go into making life in France affordable versus not so affordable. And I hope this helps you in your decision making. One, if you even want to apply for the program, and two, if you get accepted, fingers crossed, on April 1st, when acceptance letters usually go out, if you're going to accept or if you're going to decline that offer of a job. Anyway, that's all for now, folks. I hope that this is super helpful and you can look out for me sometime soon. I want to say every Wednesday, but the reality might be a little bit different. I'm working on a thesis and, anyway, bye.